There are places that seem harmless, environments you enter without a second thought, but that silently erode something precious within you. Eckhart Tolle has spent decades studying how certain spaces and situations have the power to steal your presence, to drag you back into the collective unconsciousness before you even realize what's happening. If you've ever left a place feeling completely drained, if you've noticed your inner peace simply evaporating after being in certain environments, if you've caught yourself acting in ways you don't recognize as your own after spending time in specific locations, then this video will finally explain what's going on. But before I reveal these 5 dangerous places, I need to warn you about something fundamental. What I'm about to share isn't meant to create paranoia or make you isolate yourself from the world. It's about developing such a sharp awareness that you can keep your presence intact, regardless of where you are. Tolle teaches something that captures the essence of what we're about to explore. Your perception of the world is a reflection of your state of consciousness. The more present you are, the more clearly you perceive. The more unconscious, the more the world seems confusing, threatening, or problematic. That statement contains a truth that completely changes how we understand our relationship with the environments around us. It's not the places themselves that are dangerous. It's how certain places activate patterns of unconsciousness within us that were already there, waiting to be awakened. And here's the problem. There are environments specifically designed, consciously or unconsciously, to pull you out of presence. Places where the collective energy of unconsciousness is so dense that staying present becomes an immense challenge. Recent research in neuroscience confirms what Tolle teaches. A 2024 study published in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience showed that long-term meditation increases the occurrence of brain states associated with sensory attention and reduces the activity of the default mode network, which is the brain network associated with mind-wandering and self-referential thought. But the study also revealed something crucial. Environments with many distractions significantly impair the practice of mindfulness, even in experienced meditators. This means that the environment where you are physically located has a measurable impact on your ability to remain present. The first dangerous place that destroys your presence are environments dominated by the collective ego. Tolle makes a crucial distinction between the personal ego and the collective ego. He teaches the personal ego already has a strong element of dysfunction, but the collective ego is often even more dysfunctional, to the point of absolute insanity. You recognize these environments. They are spaces where groups of people are completely identified with an ideology, a belief, a position. It could be an extremist political rally, a dogmatic religious group, sports fans on game day, or even certain corporate meetings where groupthink dominates. In these environments, the pressure to conform to the collective ego is immense. You feel it physically. The energy of the group pulls you into a collective identification that dissolves your individuality and your capacity for conscious observation. Tolle warns, dogmas are collective conceptual prisons. And the strange thing is that people love their prison cells because they give them a sense of security and a false sense of I know. When you enter an environment dominated by the collective ego, there's an almost gravitational force that pulls you into identification. You start to think like the group, to feel like the group, to react like the group, and in that process, your individual presence simply disappears. The second dangerous place. Our environment saturated with digital stimulation. We live in an era where our brains are being constantly bombarded by information. 2024 research on digital mindfulness training revealed something concerning: the spatial flexibility of digital practices, that is, being able to practice anywhere, increases the risk that people will perform the training while surrounded by other people or during other cognitively demanding activities, leading to distractions that impair the practice of mindfulness meditation. But it goes beyond the practice of meditation. Environments saturated with screens, notifications, endless feeds of content create a constant state of partial attention, which is the opposite of presence. Tolle describes the mind as an internal torturer. Many people live with a torturer in their heads who continuously attacks and punishes them and drains their vital energy. Digital environments amplify that torturer. Each notification, each scroll, each new piece of information feeds the incessant flow of thoughts that keeps us trapped in unconsciousness. Neuroscience confirms this. 2024 studies show that focused attention meditation is associated with increased gamma activity in the right frontolimbic region and decreased theta power in the right frontoparietal junction. But digital environments do the exact opposite. They fragment attention, increase mind wandering, and strengthen the brain patterns associated with unconsciousness. You probably know this sensation. You go on social media to check something quickly, and an hour later, you realize you were completely lost in an endless stream of content. Your presence was hijacked without you even realizing it. The third dangerous place are environments of constant conflict and drama. Tolle teaches about the pain body, an accumulation of emotional suffering that lives within us, and the pain body feeds on drama, conflict, negativity. When you enter environments where drama is the norm, where people are constantly in conflict, complaining, arguing, your pain body finds abundant fuel. He explains, can you see any sign of complaining, whether in speech or thought, about a situation you find yourself in, what other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situation, even the weather? Complaining is always non-acceptance of what is. Environments of constant drama normalize complaining. They normalize conflict. They normalize victimization. And when those things become normal, staying present becomes almost impossible because you're constantly being pulled to react, to defend yourself, to participate in the drama. 2024-2025 research on mental health and environments shows that high population density, common in urban environments, can lead to chronic stress due to factors like noise, pollution, and social incivilities, which can diminish mental health. But it's not just the physical environment. It's the quality of the human energy in the space. The fourth dangerous place, environments of excessive consumerism and materialism. Eckhart Tolle identifies the most common ego identifications. The most common ego identifications have to do with possessions, the job you do, social status and recognition, knowledge and education, physical appearance, special abilities, relationships, personal and family history, belief systems, and often also political, nationalist, racial, religious, and other collective identifications. Consumer environments, like shopping malls, luxury stores, events focused on status and appearance, powerfully activate these identifications. You enter these spaces and immediately start to compare, to desire, to feel that you need something external to complete yourself. This is the oldest trap of the ego, the belief that happiness is on the other side of an acquisition. And consumer environments are specifically designed to amplify this belief. Presence, on the other hand, is the recognition that you are already complete, that nothing external can add to what you fundamentally are. When you enter environments that constantly suggest the contrary, maintaining this perception becomes an immense challenge. The fifth dangerous place, environments of structured unconsciousness. This is perhaps the most subtle, and therefore the most dangerous. These are environments where unconsciousness is not accidental, but built into the system itself. Tolle makes a penetrating observation. Resistance to the now as a collective dysfunction is intrinsically connected to the loss of consciousness of being and forms the basis of our dehumanized industrial civilization. It's a powerful statement. Certain work environments are designed to extract maximum productivity without any consideration for the conscious well-being of people. Certain institutions operate in ways that systematically suppress individuality and presence. Certain social systems reward conformity and punish conscious questioning. Recent research from 2024 on mental health and work environments reveals that exposure to environments with pollution, whether physical or psychological, affects mental health through mechanisms such as oxidative stress, systemic inflammation, and disruption of the blood-brain barrier. These processes lead to disturbances in neurotransmitters and increased activity of glucocorticoids. Environments of structured unconsciousness function similarly, but on the psychological level, they create conditions that make presence almost impossible to maintain, because the environment itself is designed to keep people on autopilot. Now that you know these 5 dangerous places, the question that's probably arising in your mind is, how do I maintain presence even in these environments? Tolle offers an answer that is both simple and profound. He teaches, once you have had a glimpse of consciousness or presence, you know it firsthand. It is no longer just a concept in your mind. It becomes a knowing. The key is not to avoid these places forever. The key is to develop a presence so solid that it becomes your protective field, regardless of where you are. Tolle describes this powerfully. Presence generates an energy field in you and around you of high vibrational frequency. No unconsciousness, no negativity, no discord or violence can enter that field and survive. Did you hear that? Presence is not just an internal experience. It creates a real field around you that literally repels unconsciousness. When this field is strong enough, you can enter any of these 5 places without being dragged into unconsciousness. But how do you build this field? Tolle offers specific practices. The first is the observation of the thinker. Instead of identifying with your thoughts, you observe the thoughts arising. This simple change of perspective, from being the thinker to observing the thinker, creates a space of consciousness that is presence itself. Tolle explains, the moment you become aware of the ego in you, it is no longer strictly the ego, but just an old, conditioned thought pattern. Ego implies unconsciousness. Consciousness and ego cannot coexist. When you enter a dangerous environment, the first thing that happens is that patterns of thought are activated. In the collective ego environment, thoughts of identification with the group arise. In the digital environment, thoughts of distraction and comparison arise. In the drama environment, reactive thoughts arise. In the consumer environment, thoughts of desire and lack arise. In the environment of structured unconsciousness, thoughts of conformity and automatism arise. If you are identified with these thoughts, you are dragged down. If you observe them, you remain present. The second practice is anchoring in the body. Tolle teaches that the body is a gateway to presence. When you bring attention to physical sensations, especially to the sensation of being alive inside the body, you automatically exit the identification with the mind. Research from 2024 confirms this. Scientists at the University of Toronto discovered that tuning into interoception, the ability to sense the internal state of the body, is an important component of mindfulness training that can help in the management of mood disorders. When you enter a dangerous environment, a simple anchor is to feel your hands from the inside. Feel the subtle energy within your body. This attention to the body pulls you back into the present moment and prevents you from being completely captured by the patterns of the environment. The third practice is what Tolle calls non-reaction to the ego in others. He teaches, non-reaction to the ego in others is one of the most effective ways not only to go beyond ego in yourself, but also to dissolve the collective human ego. When you enter an environment where the collective ego is active, the natural tendency is to react, to agree or disagree, to defend or attack, to conform or resist. All these reactions feed the collective ego and strengthen its influence over you. Non-reaction is different. You observe the ego in others without judgment. You perceive the patterns of unconsciousness operating without feeling compelled to do something about it. This attitude of conscious witness allows you to remain present even in highly charged environments. But there is something even deeper that Tolle teaches, and that completely changes how we understand these dangerous environments. He says, there is only one perpetrator of evil on the planet, human unconsciousness. This realization is true forgiveness. The environments that destroy presence are not evil. The people in these environments are not enemies. What is operating is simply unconsciousness, and when you see this clearly, something inside you relaxes. You stop fighting against the environment and simply see it for what it is, a manifestation of collective unconsciousness. This shift in perspective doesn't mean passivity. You can still choose to leave toxic environments. You can still establish boundaries. You can still protect your energy, but you do it from clarity, not from fear, from presence, not reactivity. You've just uncovered the 5 places that silently destroy your presence. This truth has been overlooked because unconsciousness itself hides. It doesn't want to be seen. When you click the super thanks button, you become a guardian of this wisdom about protecting your presence. It's not payment, it's positioning. You've chosen to remain awake. Now, I want to leave you with a concrete practice that you can apply immediately for the next 7 days. Before entering any environment, take a 30-second pause. In that pause, bring attention to your breath. Feel the subtle energy within your body. Establish what Eckhart Tolle calls an internal anchor. Then, while you're in the environment, periodically return to that anchor. Check in. Am I present, or have I been dragged down? Am I observing, or am I identified? Am I conscious, or am I operating on autopilot? This simple practice begins to build the field of presence that Tolle describes, and over time, that field becomes so strong that you can enter any of these 5 places without losing your awareness. Remember what Tolle teaches, what we call presence, is the nucleus of my teaching. Whenever I give talks, the words are intended to point to presence or to pure consciousness. When you are present, you no longer derive your identity from the flow of thoughts in your head. Instead, you know yourself as the consciousness in which all thoughts and all things arise. This transition from being identified with the mind to living in presence is the most important thing in your life. And it happens not by escaping challenging environments, but by learning to maintain your presence within them. Dangerous environments are not your enemies. They are your training grounds. Each time you manage to maintain presence in an environment that would normally drag you down, you strengthen your field. You become more unshakable. You demonstrate that presence doesn't depend on external circumstances. Tolle concludes with a truth that sums it all up. The insanity of the collective human ego, amplified by science and technology, is rapidly leading our species to the brink of disaster. Evolve or die, that is our only choice now. Evolving, in this context, means developing the ability to remain conscious, even in environments of unconsciousness. It means building a field of presence so strong that the collective madness cannot penetrate, and it means becoming an island of consciousness in an ocean of unconsciousness. You don't need to change the world to be at peace. You just need to change your state of consciousness. And when you do that, paradoxically, you begin to change the world around you, because presence is contagious. It radiates, it awakens in others the same awareness that is active in you. You are on the path. The fact that you've watched this video this far is already proof that presence is strengthening within you. Now, it's a matter of practice, of bringing that awareness into the environments of your daily life, of becoming a point of light in places where the darkness of unconsciousness dominates. Controversy. Tolle teaches that presence generates a field of energy that repels unconsciousness. This means that the more present you become, the less affected you will be by the environments around you. Do you agree or disagree? Comment below. Which of these 5 places most affects your presence, and what strategies do you use to stay conscious? I'll respond to everyone in the first 2 hours.